I was arrested for murder and rape, which I didn't commit, which the cops coerced a false confession out of me after interrogating me for close to 7 hours, doing illegal things like threats and false promises. They got me to agree to a polygraph by telling me that they needed my help to solve the crime. So, I was raised up, cops are your friend. So I didn't understand how I could help them, but they're telling me I can.
Right.
So I'm gonna go along with it. And they just turned all that around on me just to get me away from, my parents and put me into an unfamiliar environment. They drove me from across county lines. I went to the police station right over there, on a school day, as opposed to going to high school, so that my mother and my grandmother thought that I was in school. And they didn't call around looking for me because of that.
Wow.
They drove me from Peekskill across county lines to town of Brewster, which is in Putnam County. Said this polygraphist could carry out this technique called get the confession. And they put me in a small room, and it gave me countless cups of coffee to get me nervous, and he wired me up to this polygraph, and that's when he started in with his third-degree tactics. So he invaded my personal space. He raised his voice at me. He kept asking me the same questions over and over again, and I wasn't used to even interacting with adults. My dad was never involved in my life in any aspect, so I wasn't even used to talking and interacting, with adult males. And then he's acting in this ferocious fashion, and the fact that I don't know where I'm at, and I know that no one else knows where I'm at, is really large in my mind. And so each hour that's going past, I'm getting more and more frightened.
17 years,
and so he kept that up for like 6 to 7 hours. And at the end, he brings in the, what he claims is the polygraph test result. What do you mean you just did it? You just told me through the test results that you did it. I just need you to verbally confirm it. So that really shot my fear through the roof. And that's when the cop comes in the room who had been pretending to be my friend, because they do the good cop, bad cop routine. And, he says, look, these other officers, because there was 3 cops from Peekskill that came with me there, plus there's a polygraphist. But the polygraphist was a cop, but he's dressed as a civilian, and he never told me that he was an officer. He never read me my rights. I thought he was a civilian. So the officer who'd been pretending to be my friend, he came in the room and he told me, the other officers are going to harm you. I've been holding them off. I can't do this indefinitely. Look, you got to help yourself here. Just tell them what they want to hear. They'll stop what they're doing. You can go home afterwards. You're going to go home afterwards. You're not going to be arrested. But being young, naive, frightened, 16, I'm not thinking about the long term. I'm just want to get out of there. There's the push-pull dynamic. There's a possibility of harm, but then he's throwing me this false life preserver. So I believed him. I needed a way out, and so I latched onto that. And I made up a story based on information which they gave me in the course of the interrogation that day and in the 6-week run up to that. And by the time it was all said and done, I was curled up into like a fetal position on the floor, crying uncontrollably. And, and obviously I was arrested for a murder and a rape.
That's insane. Wow.
But then the police misconduct didn't end there. The polygraphist, he lost his charts. He lost his chart, so no one else could look at it. When the DNA didn't match me, showing the semen found in the victim didn't match, the Peekskill police went back in the field and they interviewed 17 witnesses who knew the victim in different capacities. They all told the police, look, she, lived a sheltered life. She's an immigrant from Colombia. She never went anywhere unless her sister was with her or her parents. She had no boyfriend. There was no consensual sex. But the cops never documented those interviews, which you're supposed to document every witness. But they didn't document. Why? Because they didn't want to have to turn that over to my lawyer. So we never knew that. I didn't have that information to work with at my trial. And then my trial lawyer from Legal Aid was terrible. He very rarely met with me. I told him my alibi. I was playing wiffle ball at the time the crime happened. He never interviewed my alibi. He never called my alibi. He told me one time. But every time I tried to tell him what happened in the interrogation room and I was innocent, he told me, he didn't care if I was guilty or innocent. He was always shutting me up. My lawyer never explained to the jury the significance of the DNA not matching me or used that to argue that this confession's coerced and false. You know, he never cross-examined the medical examiner who committed fraud. He never questioned him. He wouldn't allow me to testify at the hearing because the cops, that's another thing. See, the cops, they do what's called testifying. You know, so they don't tell the truth under oath. They leave things out. And they left the threat and the false promise out of their testimony. So I wanted to take the stand and add that, but my lawyer wouldn't let me.
Right.
Then when I got to the trial, my lawyer said, look, you don't have to prove you're innocent. They got to prove you're guilty. I don't think that happened, so you're not going to testify. That's not necessary. So I mean, I'm 17 years old. What the hell do I know? Then I never been in trouble before. I don't understand this law stuff. He's telling me not to do it. I guess you know what you're doing, right? You're a lawyer. So I didn't take the stand. It cost me. In the end, I was wrongfully convicted, and I did 16 years.
Wow.
I lost
Sorry
seven.
to hear that.
I lost. I lost.
Good portion of your.
Good portion of my life.
Your life, and
very good portion of my life. I didn't graduate high school. I didn't do the prom.
Your younger years.
Missed births, deaths, holidays, weddings. You know, and I missed a chance for finish my education at a more traditional age and career. You know, I mean, I'm doing the best I can now. I've done my nonprofit. We free people. We've exonerated 2 people. We've freed 6. We've changed a few laws. I'm an advocate. I have a master's degree and I'm my 2nd year of law school. So I'm doing the best that I can. You know, even I instructed in some police academies, but my life, nonetheless, my life will never be the same again. So it's really, really important, just to have honest police officers who don't test a lie, who do document witness interviews, and who don't coerce false confessions, and who are willing to speak up if they realize they made a mistake. They got to speak up later on and say that. The lieutenant who oversaw everything here, Tumalo, who was lieutenant then, who became the police chief, and after I was exonerated, he says he claims that when the DNA didn't match me, he went to the prosecutor and expressed doubts about my guilt, but he never took any steps. Like, he never went to that prosecutor's boss. He never went to the district attorney, which as lieutenant he could have done. He never went to my lawyer. He never went to the attorney general. He never went to the feds. He never went to the public. He just sat back and was quiet if he indeed had any doubts, and just was content to let me stay in there. I emerged 16 years later through further DNA testing that identified the perpetrator, but no thanks to him. He didn't help me at all. So my point in saying that is, at any point, if you feel like the wrong person was arrested, you got to speak up and say something. That's an honest cop, man. But we need the honest cops to step up and force the dirty ones out of your profession, because that's a big part of the distrust that goes on now between the community and the police, is because of tactics like this and unjustifiable deadly police force and police brutality and blue wall of silence and let's cover up, even when it's brutality and unjustifiable, let's protect anyway because we got the uniform on. No, the uniform is supposed to be the solidarity as people enforcing the law. But if my fellow officer has crossed that line, he's a criminal now. He broke the law. There is no artificial unity there. You broke the law. You're on the other side of the street now. But too many times that's not what happens. And that's part of the reason why, as a society, we have this mistrust that goes on. We can talk about what are the red flags. The confession might be false, or that someone making an identification might be mistaken, that an informant might be lying. There's red flags, there's patterns based upon other wrongful conviction cases that have ended in a DNA exoneration. So we have data that's not in question. We can pick the patterns out. And you can have that in mind, your checklist you put together. Okay, let me think about this arrest we just made. Well, I know that a red flag that an informant's lying is that the story keeps changing. There's no other piece of evidence with the informant's testimony. The informant was asked, well, where's the murder weapon? Where's the body at? And the informant brings police to places where those items aren't. That's all like a red flag. So if you ever find yourself in a case like that, that means you gotta, your antennas, gotta go up, and the sirens gotta blast in your own head. And, wait a minute, whoa, I gotta take another look at this one. Really careful. You know what I mean?
I hear you.
Because and I'm gonna wrap up with this. I don't want to be too long, but each time the wrong person's convicted, though, you didn't just send them and their family, but in a larger sense, you left society vulnerable. Why? Because that actual perpetrator is still on the loose. still free to strike again.
Yeah.
The person in my case who committed the crime that I did the time for, he killed the second person here in Peekskill. He killed school teacher Patricia Morrison. Stephen Cunningham killed Pat Morrison 3.5 years later because they did what they did to me, and I was in prison for his crime, and he was left free. So, case in point.
Wow.
So with that, man,
I appreciate
brother,
that. Yeah.
nice talking
Pleasure
to you.
meeting you. Yeah. All right, man. Yeah. Pleasure meeting you. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I'll definitely look to reach out to you.
Please
you know?
do. You got
That's a very
myself.
interesting story. Yeah. And I'm looking to get into law myself. So.
Yeah, we need honest police officers, man.
Yeah.
Please do.